CNN 10, your objective explanation of events making headlines around the world. I'm Carl Azus, always good to see you. First story this Wednesday, sickness has swept over dozens of people working on the 2018 Winter Olympics. But it's not the nasty flu virus you've heard about. What hospitalized 41 security guards in Pyeongchang, South Korea is norovirus. Olympics organizers say they suddenly started showing symptoms on Sunday. Officials don't know exactly how the security guards got infected, but the Korean Center for Disease Control and Prevention says they'd all been staying at the same building. Organizers are testing the water and food where the security guards are staying, and they're checking to make sure their bedrooms are virus-free. All of those who'd caught norovirus are stable, but in order to help contain the disease, a total of 1,200 security guards had to be taken off duty. This would have had a significant impact on security for the Games, so South Korea deployed 900 members of its military to help keep the events safe. They'll be doing the security checks at 20 of the venues where events are held. Though the opening ceremonies are scheduled for Friday, the first events will actually start the day before, so health officials want to get a handle on this before it has the chance to spread to athletes, trainers, coaches, and tourists.
Norovirus is one of the most contagious bugs out there. The amount of norovirus that can fit on the head of a pin can get 1,000 people sick. About 20 million people a year get sick from norovirus in the United States. 800 people die, about 60,000 end up in the hospital. Norovirus is the #1 cause of food poisoning outbreaks in the United States. Infected food workers, they're responsible for about 70% of the norovirus outbreaks in this country. When people get norovirus, they get vomiting and diarrhea. Sometimes it's pretty vicious. Another reason norovirus is so powerful is it can stay on your countertops for up to 2 weeks, and many common disinfectants and cleaners just don't work against it. So you can fight norovirus. First of all, wash your hands thoroughly with soap and water. Sanitizer just isn't going to cut it. Also, avoid touching foods with your bare hands. Use silverware as much as you can. And if you do feel sick, don't prepare foods for other people.
Next, wild swings in the U.S. stock market. Following Monday's historic drop in points for the Dow Jones Industrial Average, the index of 30 significant stocks had its 4th largest gain yesterday. It closed up 567 points after closing down 1,175 points the previous day. One thing it's important to point out is that while these are historic swings in terms of points, which represent dollar values of different stocks, they're not historic when viewed as percentages. In Monday's decrease, the Dow dropped 4.6%. In Tuesday's increase, the Dow rose 2.3%. Those percentages are nowhere near the historic market crashes of 1987 or 1929, or the historic market gains of 1933 or 1931. Still, they are signs of instability in the stock market, and they're watched so closely because that market is one indication of how the U.S. economy is doing, and its rises and falls affect markets around the world. American investors are concerned about wages, inflation, interest rates, which we explained a bit yesterday, but most analysts and the U.S. government say the economy is very strong, and they don't appear worried about what this could mean in the long term.
3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition.
The most powerful rocket in the world taking off. Falcon Heavy is the name of the SpaceX rocket. After a couple delays, it blasted off the ground at about 3:45 p.m. yesterday at Kennedy Space Center in Florida. SpaceX, which has received billions in grants from NASA, estimates that each launch of a Falcon Heavy rocket costs about $90 million. But that's reportedly hundreds of millions cheaper than the world's second most powerful rocket. As a way to decrease the high costs of spaceflight, Falcon Heavy's 3 rocket boosters are designed to land upright back on Earth to be reused. At least 2 of them did that yesterday at Kennedy Space Center. The third was supposed to land on a platform at sea, but we didn't know immediately if that return was a success. titanosaur, woolly mammoth, megalodon, African elephant. These are mere chickens compared to the biggest animal on record. What's interesting about the blue whale, besides the fact that it's the biggest mammal on Earth today, is that it's believed to be the biggest animal ever, that nothing, past or present, has ever come close to the whale's estimated weight, which can approach 200 tons. So even if the Loch Ness Monster is real, Nessie's got nothing on Big Blue. Now that's random. Okay, sticking with the mammal theme for our next great big story. Around the world, there are ongoing efforts to save something called the tree pangolin. And the reason is that there are ongoing efforts to poach them, especially in Africa and Asia. All tree pangolin species are listed as either vulnerable or endangered. 10 out of 10 goes to a water gun you can't buy at Walmart. This thing is so powerful, it can blast a hole through concrete, steel, and even bulletproof glass. Yes, that would hurt your arm. It's part of a system that mixes water with granite dust to cut a pea-sized hole through, well, almost anything. Why? It allows firefighters to squirt water into a room, for example, where there's a fire, and drastically lower the temperature before they go inside. So developers had a concrete idea of what they were aiming for. Now critics might call it a squirt gun, but when it comes to water, how could you want anything more powerful than a super soaking pressure washer that's literally a blast to use? I'm Carl Azus for CNN 10.